All right, y'all. Lane Kiffin has bought thousands of acres in Shadytown. This whole Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, LSU saga has now played itself out and it's messy. I'm not really sure what to say, but I got a few thoughts. You can let me know what you think when we're done. First, I think it's important to note that professionalism at the coaching level has just walked out the door with Lane Kiffin, got on that plane with Lane Kiffin. It really surprises me that we find ourselves in a situation where a coach has an opportunity to take a team all the way to a potential national championship, and he did this. See y'all later. I'm out. I'm going to another school. But here we are. Okay, so I think, it's important for us to ask the question, who cares about today's players today? Not future athletes, but today's Ole Miss football athletes. The coach clearly doesn't care about him because he got on a plane and flew to Baton Rouge. And then he gave his coaching staff an ultimatum. You can either come with me right now or you're not coming. So he was prepared to take all his coaches, presumably, with him to LSU on that plane today and leave Ole Miss with zero, except for the defensive coordinator who got his job immediately on a backfill basis. So the coach clearly was not concerned or committed to the players today. Notwithstanding this whole thing about, the players want me to stay. I asked the university and the athletic director if I could stay and see it through, and the university athletic director turned me down. Well, what kind of choice did they have? If we let you stay, you get the next month to solidify your plans for the new school, determine which coaches you want to take for the new school, determine which players you want to take for the new school, and get them going now. There is no upside from a long-term perspective to Ole Miss allowing Lane Kiffin to continue to coach this team. I understand why there's like, you got to go. It's unfortunate because the athletes are the only losers in this story. The fans are the losers, the athletes are the real losers in this story. Because now the university already has another coach. LSU's got a coach. Lane Kiffin make a whole bunch of money. He took the offensive coordinator with him because he got on the plane with him. And there we go. So, I think it's difficult to navigate for the university administration to navigate letting him stay. Now, I understand if you watched Game Day or any college football, or saw any college football commentary yesterday, everybody was advocating. Everybody on Game Day, Booger McFarland, all of them were attempting to put forth the proposition that the coach deserved to finish what he started. And so notwithstanding the coach's decision, he deserved to stay and coach the team because that was what was best for the coach and that was what was best for the team. But those guys knew that that was not a winning argument for the very reasons that the University of Mississippi said you got to go, because you just can't sit around for a month having a job with somebody else and being over here messing my stuff up, even worse than it's already messed up. So I get it. Now, I also understood yesterday that apparently Lane Kiffin was still undecided. And so he needed to talk to Nick Saban and Pete Carroll as part of his decision making. So I call BS on that. I think that is just summarily not true. And if he did talk to Nick Saban, you understood, if you watch Game Day, what Nick Saban, thought about it. So Nick Saban's perspective was, look, if he stays at Ole Miss, he'll continue to have to navigate the portal to build his team year after year to sustain this winning ways. If he goes to LSU, he'll have an easier time recruiting because they have a stronger recruiting tradition there, and that's going to be an easier thing from a recruiting perspective. So how does he want to build his team? And we know that one of the reasons Nick Saban retired was he wasn't trying to deal with the portal. We know that. So we know that if Lane Kiffin actually had a conversation with Nick Saban, what Nick Saban was going to tell him. I don't know if a conversation was had, but I know the conversation was not meaningful, even if it was, because there's no way that Lane Kiffin, had not been negotiating for weeks with LSU to finalize this deal. And the deal finally came together. So I just want us to remember that we don't need to be getting mad at the athletes in the next few weeks. Those athletes who are potentially in the playoffs, who hit the portal. We already got one guy I read today from UGA that's hitting the portal. Okay. Don't get mad at the athletes for hitting the portal when they are potentially in a playoff run, because the coaches say it doesn't matter that they're in a playoff run. The coach don't need to stay put. Why do athletes need to stay put? So do not, I repeat, do not get mad at these athletes when they do the exact same things that the coaches are doing with demonstrating loyalty and commitment to winning in championships, because clearly that's number 2 in priority, at least with respect to this coaching situation. Now, let's talk about what the committee is going to do. Because if we recall, it wasn't that long ago that Florida State had an outstanding season, and they were ranked the number 4 team in the country. And their QB went down with an injury and he was out. Now, the committee, and including those commentators around the committee, okay, as they were predicting what was going to happen, had indicated that the team was now sufficiently different with the quarterback being injured that they were no longer a top 4 team. And because of that, notwithstanding the record they had accumulated across the entire season, they were no longer qualified to be a top 4 team and should not make the playoff. And in fact, they did not make the playoff, if you recall. We gonna have the same energy for Ole Miss committee? They have no head coach. Their head coach for the entire season has left. Their offensive coordinator for the entire season has left. They will be actively determining which players they want to take with them. So those players' mind shares will be split at best. We do not know how many other coaches decided to get on the plane or at least not get left off, okay? The Lane Kiffin train that was moving forward to LSU. And so we don't know what the coaching staff is going to look like. So we don't know what Ole Miss is going to look like at the end of this week. The committee going to just let them stay in there? Or has there been enough trauma to chop them off? I don't know. But y'all going to have the same energy committee? I don't know. We'll see. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. I think this is a very bad precedent. College coaching professionalism has fallen to a new low today, that a coach that is actually competing for a national championship would leave his role to take another job in the middle of that run, at the beginning of that run, is shady at best. It is highly unprofessional, but it is what it is. It's a bad day for college football, if you ask me. But ain't nobody asking me. Let me know what you think.